fresh out the oven.
What is cracking, everybody? It's MegaPieman here, and welcome to another look at my map video. This time for King of the Hill Synthetic RC6. Yes, we are back at King of the Hill Synthetic once again. I didn't really think that I was going to come back to Synthetic after RC5, but a little while ago I put the map on a casual game day for TF2 maps, and people were leaving some comments about it, mostly talking about the theming. Since this was the first map that I finished, and I've gone on to make an event version of this map, as well as finish Payload Raise Rush, I have a lot more experience in mapping now, as well as experience with detailing and optimization. So I came back to Synthetic to try to work on it a bit more, take some of the stuff said during that casual game day. A mapper by the name of Phi left some very useful feedback for detailing, to try to... what's the word I'm looking for? Try to make it feel more uniform and less patched together. You know, try to make everything feel more like it goes together, or I guess a good way of putting it is try to make it feel more professional than it did previously. And I'm rather happy with how things turned out. Now, the blue side mostly is the same. There's been a couple of things changed around, mostly over here that I changed around. The reason why I changed all of this area around was for optimization purposes, because I had a lot of props in the background here that you couldn't really see, but they were still there, like the big shipping container props in the background there, so I just cut all of those out. Moved around some of the pipes and windows and whatnot to try to make this look a little bit better, fit more with the sort of chemical planty, farm industrial chemical planty theme that I want this map to have, and make things feel a bit more uniform, especially with textures. So I've got more of the textures that you see throughout the other parts of the map. Like this dark purpley bluey texture you got over here, and you also got it over there, and I changed around a couple of the textures over here so that it's not quite as many different materials hitting you in the face at the same time. Because when you look at buildings in reality, or even just look at buildings in other maps for Team Fortress 2, they don't generally have a ton of materials that they're made out of. A lot of them are made out of one material, most of them are made out of two. Sometimes you get three, but rarely do you get anything more than that. And unfortunately, what I was doing with a lot of this is I was kind of using a lot of different types of materials, and it just looked kind of messy. So I really wanted to try to clean things up, and I wanted to try to get the idea of the map across a little bit better. Now, one of the big areas that I changed was over here, behind this glass. And the reason why I changed this was previously, I had this as like a security room with a bunch of spy tech stuff in it, and it didn't really make a whole lot of sense. What is sense? A whole lot of sense, or look uniformly, or not. I don't want to say this, or really fit TF2 style. The TF2 style usually goes from spy tech to spy tech facade, which is like a building that is spy tech pretending to be another building, then to non-spy tech, and then back to spy tech facade, and then spy tech. That's how Team Fortress 2 usually does things for symmetrical maps. Spy tech stuff is usually kept back, away, hidden, whereas the more front meat of a map is your non-spy tech, whatever theme you're going with that is hiding the bases, basically. And even though I wanted to make this like a security room area back behind these windows, it had all that spy tech stuff here, and it meant that didn't really work. It made it feel like spy tech was kind of everywhere in the map. That didn't make a whole lot of sense, since it's difficult for you to have a front business, which is basically what Team Fortress 2 does, when you have all of the stuff that you're trying to hide up front and center. So I changed this around to be more like pipes and more like what I was able to find of a fertilizer plant, fertilizer manufacturing chemical facility. which is the idea that I have for this map. It's supposed to be like a farm, industrial fertilizer plant kind of a thing. And I found this really nice brush steel texture for these tubes in the SFM beta files for Source Filmmaker, and it looks really nice. I really like this brushed steel texture. It's a lot better than what I was going to go with, which was just chrome, which is a little bit too shiny, but the brushed steel makes it look a little bit nicer. And I think it makes everything a bit more uniform. I also I got rid of a lot of props here and there, a lot of smaller details. Like I used to have hubcaps here, but I got rid of those to try to make the map run a bit better. And I did mess around with optimization for area portals and that kind of stuff to try to make the map run better, because the map has had issues running. Even the Halloween event version has issues running. And I played around with the fog a little bit just to see what would happen, and I'm pretty happy with it. You can see Red Side changed the most of both sides, especially when it came to textures, because I used a lot of different wood textures all over the dang place for Red Side. And, I mean, and then I had this big building over here that was a giant brick building, but there wasn't really much brick anywhere else on Red. There's a little bit pieces here and there, so I wanted to make all of that fit a little bit more by using more brick over here on this red side, less different kinds of wood, and just try to make it all, you know, not look like a mess. And I think I was able to pull it off relatively well. I'm happy with how this building turned into. I got rid of a lot of the concrete that were concrete platforms over here on red side, since concrete is more of an industrial color or industrial material, and industrial is more of blues thing, so I wanted to make this more red-sided, with red usually using wood and warmer red colors, of course. So I replaced a lot of the concrete with wood to try to get the themes across a little bit more. There's still some concrete here and there, but it's not quite as in your face and everywhere, and it looks good. I'm very happy with it, and I'm very glad that I put the map in that casual game day for TF2 maps, and Fi left feedback that I could really work off of. I even did some changing around of the inside of the spawn areas, gave red a bit of a back spawn area so it looks more like the big open building. Use these doors here that have a window inside it so you can see more detail. And blue side is where I did a lot of changing for the spawn room inside, specifically, well, not this front, but back in here. Now, previously back in here was just a blue Spytek area, but I still wanted to have the security room, so I decided that I would put the security room back here inside Blue's spawn and make it look more like a security room and less like just a room full of Spytek stuff. A person, I don't know if it's a guy or not, a person by the name of Duck Sink shared this texture that they were making that I have on these TVs here. That's like a TV text screen texture. They shared that in the TF2 Emporium Discord server, and I really liked it, so I took it. I made a VMF of it. I put it in the map. I got DuckSync's permission. I was sure to credit them. Added them to the credits for the map, of course, on the workshop. And put it in the map and try to make these TV monitors to make it look more like a security area. And then I added, this is from the MVM workshop bench. All of these kinds of weapons and stuff lying around, and these cabinets over here to make it look more like an actual full-on security room, and it's back inside of Blue Spawn, which makes more sense of it being there than, like, up in the middle of the map, where in the middle of the map you would think would be the main chemical plant area. These would be the main chemical plant buildings, because they are, like, up front and center where a lot of people would see them. Which makes the most sense for them to not have Spytek, whereas you have any sort of Spytek-y kind of stuff hidden back here where people wouldn't generally see it quite as easily. I think the only other area that I changed was one of these lower spots. I got rid of some props down here. Yeah, I talked about that. Over here, yes, this. I completely redid this because I had some spy techy stuff down there, and just for the same reasons of wanting to get spy tech out of the middle, took out the spy tech and replaced it with more of these brushed steel tubes and some pipes to try to get across the chemical plant vibe. And I'm very, very happy with how this has turned out so far. Another thing that Fi said was that there was a lot of signs of multiple different kinds of companies all over the dang place, which made it difficult to figure out like who owned this, who owned the sides of this map and what they were. So I got rid of a lot of those. Got rid of these big shutter doors I had here because they didn't really fit the map all that much. Replace them with some nice basic signs, and I think it works. It's a lot cleaner. It's a heck of a lot cleaner, in my opinion. Yeah, and without signs everywhere cluttering things up, being like, there's this company, and then there's this company, and then there's this company. Part of the reason why I changed this is because I used to have a big thing here that had this sign for Zag Automotive, like right up front here, which didn't make a whole lot of sense of why you would have an automotive sign like that in a chemical plant. The reason why I have this sign is because Zag and Alto, who's over here, Alto, they are both competitive players for competitive Team Fortress 2, and they helped me test this map out a lot and try to get its layout down as good as I possibly could for the competitive scene. And I wanted to reference them within the map with some signage, but having the big Zag Automotive across here made it feel, it just didn't quite fit. So I kept Zag Automotive on the sign over there, but it's sort of a sign that's leaning up against this wall. So it makes more sense that like somebody came by and just placed it there, as if they were using the sign for scrap metal or something like that, opposed to it being a more permanent part of the structure of the facility. I mean, Alto elevators, it fits because I made this what's it called? A loading elevator? It's a shipping elevator? It's not a loading elevator, it's a freight elevator. There it is. I made this like a freight elevator, and this sign was already made by somebody else for CP Vanguard. I contacted them, they let me use it, because Alto did some testing for that. So I was fine with how this freight elevator was set up, but hopefully it makes more sense with having this sign over there. It doesn't feel more like it's a sign specifically connected to the thing, because this isn't an automotive manufacturing facility or a car dealership. It's a fertilizer plant is the idea, even though it may or may not actually look like a fertilizer plant. But anyway, that's pretty much it for changes. All of the optimization stuff, most of it's behind the scenes, some of it's getting rid of just props and extra added non-needed brushes. But I'm really like I closed in this area up here, this thing. Originally you could see through this window and they had some stuff right there. I closed that in so I could delete everything in there and just not have to worry about that rendering at all. And I closed in these two shutters, so anything that I had in here, now I could just delete it and not have to worry about the game having to render it, because it no longer exists, because you can no longer see it. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with it. Let me know what you guys think in the comments section, if you think it's better or worse than it used to be. If you dislike the map, it's also up on the Steam Workshop. This version has been updated onto the Workshop. You can see that I'm making this video in December, because it's got all these little Christmas lights stuff all over the place. And there's no way to really turn that off, I don't believe. So it looks kind of weird in the map, because it's not really a Christmassy map, but you know, that's Team Fortress 2 for you. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. Please let me know what you think of the map in the comments section. I have been Mega Pie Man, and I will talk to you guys later.